Welcome everybody to Adrift in Aldhalor, our weekly actual play D&D game set in our homebrew world of Aradun, specifically on the continent of Aldhalor. We have a lot of fun here, and our music is licensed through Musicbed.com, and when we use our Ambience, it is brought to us usually by TabletopAudio and or Syrinscape. Now I'm going to bring Shannon on to talk a little bit about our partners. Go for it. You were definitely ready, right?
I was definitely ready. Yep.
Yeah, you looked very ready. I had a moment where I looked down from the camera and I was like, I don't think she knows that she's supposed to be on.
I don't have the copy up, but I do now. We're good. We're good. Hi everybody. It's Monday. Welcome to Paradise and welcome to our lucky number 13 episode of Adrift in Aldhalor. It's gonna be great. We're unfortunately down a party member, but we still have things planned.
And he'll be back next week.
Oh, yes. Yes. I think, yes. He's not down for good, but he's just traveling.
I've killed Septimus.
No. Before we get started, I'm going to talk about our wonderful partners that make Paradise Paradise, starting with Arcane Spectacles. Get a personalized touch for your home with Arcane Spectacles Christmas ornaments. Ta-da! I have them down from my, oops, that's backwards. There we go. From my streaming station. This one is our previous party. Come on, focus. There we go. And this one is my girls. Some of my girls. I have to update it because Saskia's not on there anymore. But this is what they look like, and they're pretty awesome. They are customizable with party members and DM's names, and they are perfect for any TTRPG and D&D fan. Durable and lasting, they'll be a cherished reminder of your adventures. Visit them now at arcanespectacles.com and add magic to your home all year long. And these are not adorning my Christmas tree. They live on my streaming station up here that you can't see when I'm gesturing to it because it's right there. Yay. Next, we have Underground Oracle Publishing. They are a best-selling, any-nominated TTRPG publisher building new and exciting settings for the cipher system of every genre you can imagine. Each setting includes everything you need to explore its unique world, including lore, species, descriptors, foci, creatures, ciphers, artifacts, and all of the rules that you need to play. Their current focus is Harrow the Blighted Plain, a crystal punk fantasy setting filled with fungal oases, massive sand seas, and long-buried magitech, which has also just been fully funded on Kickstarter. So congratulations! It's so exciting. If you missed the Kickstarter, don't worry. There's still a way you can support them. For as little as $3, you can join their Patreon and help shape Harrow in each of the worlds that they create. Next, we have Edward Yorke. He is our character artist, an illustrator based in the UK, and he makes art for games and books. You saw our character art on our starting soon screen and our offline screen for the new campaign. We're obsessed with the art. We love Eddie. So to visit his portfolio and get in contact with him, visit eyorke.com. Next, and certainly not least, that's not the expression, last but certainly not least, we have 1985 Games. They create affordable, accessible, high-quality accessories for D&D and other tabletop role-playing games. Our lovely DM here uses their NPC cards to create, to create really awesome NPCs for our game. So if you are interested in picking up your own set or checking out any of their other wares, use the code ParadiseProd for 10% off your entire order. Let's see. A few other miscellaneous things here. If you haven't joined us on Discord already, do that because... How dare you? You threw off my groove, Sean. You threw it off.
It's off. My cup aside. Get my notebook out, you know.
How dare!
My cup spilleth over.
Yep. Continue. Or maybe you should start over.
No. From the top. If you haven't joined us on Discord, do that because our wonderful DM here writes one-pager recaps for us every week as a quick way to catch up. You could also watch the Sean Sham Power Hour on Sundays to catch up.
Pretty good.
It's pretty fun. We have a good time. If you are interested in sponsoring an episode or two of I need to change it to say it's Are we technically still advantage in Paradise?
No,
It's just
technically
advantage.
not. We're drifting.
No. All right, I need to change that then because I stumble over it every week. So I'm gonna do that after I finish this.
I mean, I guess it's like that the show is like Advantage in Paradise.
Paradise, Adrift, and Aldhalor, right?
So really, the name is Adrift and Aldhalor, but
all right. I'm fixing it right now. So I'm gonna start that part over again. Are you interested in sponsoring an episode or two of Adrift and Aldhalor? Shoot us an email at ParadiseRPG at wow,
Paradise
I got
Productions, Shannon. Oh, I thought you were saying the email.
Yes, Sean. Shoot us an email at paradisrpg@gmail.com because there isn't a way to change your email address once you already have it. So we're stuck with Paradise RPG, but it's fine because it's a cool reminder of where we started. Our humble beginnings.
Anything else, Shannon?
Yeah, join us in Paradise on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Discord, Instagram, and TikTok.
She got through it, folks.
I did it. I did it. Please clap.
Let's bring the...
Thank you.
All right. Transition. There we go. All right. Shall we recap?
Recap.
Cue the music.
Last we left off, our adventurers were split up throughout the city. Septimus, Bruce, and Jacquette finished up visiting Orin at the Harlequin and Chalice. So, they head home with the repaired gramophone. Along the way, they discussed the murders Orin spoke of in the temple court. Supposedly some cleric, possibly a paladin, some folks, is mostly what they know, were murdered. With their skulls having been smashed in, many suspect Machina's whisper, the secret cult said to worship machines, and the spirits they believe to be within those machines, or at least the sentience within them. Jacquette suggested, given Septimus's interest and sympathies with that group, that they themselves solve the murder and clear the name of Machina's whisper. This drew Septimus's interest, especially due to his efforts with Sal, his automaton companion. But that is for another day for the party to plan, as they have business the next day. But before we get to the next day, Fearn, back in the Otter business, was at Fight Night. In a splendid show, he defeated a mountain elf named Toil in hand-to-hand combat, while Sass cheered from the audience disguised as an old woman, getting much flack from the audience for supporting Fearn the cheater. But after the fight, some of the crowd's opinions seemed to shift about Fearn. Maybe they saw, maybe he does have some strength, maybe he does have some muscle, maybe he can fight and is not a cheater. But while Fearn was engaging in those minor celebrations, he noticed that Sass's disguise self spell was starting to fade and drip away from her skin as seawater. So he quickly ushered her out inside his cloak into the streets. On their return home, they argued over the fact Fearn kept wearing the dead Captain Hastings' boots around town, Sass believing it to be something a bit conspicuous, especially after Fearn said that the drunken contender Redcap, or otherwise known as Brandon, recognized those boots. The next day, the party tended to their downtime needs, purchasing goods and supplies while visiting some of their contacts. First to Torcal, the strange high elf tinkerer that was friends with Septimus in the Brigade Flea Market. They returned the gramophone and arranged a deal to fix future items for Torcal in exchange for other goods from his shipments, the next of which will arrive on the 30th from Shallow's Gaunt, a scraping settlement on the other side of Alfdal. Next, the party met up with Dolvana to acquire papers to enter the upper district of Hyvin, known as the Admiralty Court. She also informed them of the work Sigil had to offer them. The party wasted no time in heading there to meet with him. The papers got them smoothly through the gates, and they saw the glittering streets of the Admiralty Court, cleaner and wider than the slums, factories, and dockyards below. Colorful tapestries decorated Jacobean-style architecture with hints of Gothic flair. The district was split into 2 neighborhoods. This is something I didn't say last week, so you may want to write this down. The neighborhoods, or the district was split into 2 neighborhoods. Crown Rock to the south at the highest ridge overlooking the sea, and Lower Ridge Rock on a northern flat overlooking the city and beyond. The party heads straight for the academy, where they were escorted to the library via teleportation circle with little possibility of exploring. As they entered the grand library of Hyvin, they found an extraordinary hall, much larger than the building holding it, with bookshelves that rose up into the empty darkness above and rose, spreading into infinite darkness beyond. The only light in this strange library came from floating lanterns and clustered candles dripping over stacks and stacks of unorganized books. The vastness of the hall echoed with your steps as Sigil welcomed you to his home. He offered you work investigating a strange sickness in the town of Billowgrass that may or may not have elemental origins, as well as the opportunity to study here before embarking on this quest. And here is where we left off. A lot of you all sitting within Sigil's sort of apartment within the library, held in an unusually small space with, like the library, a much larger space within it, inside of a pillar. You can find his research desk there, a cot that he sleeps at, as well as a small stove where he has tea kettle heating up on it currently. He has offered to provide time stop infused study halls for Bruce and Septimus to research some of the books in the library that pertain to magical disease specifically. And to the rest of you and to them as well, he is offering tea time sandwiches with a little bit of tea as well, or coffee if that is your persuasion. So yes. So Sigil sits at his desk, papers strewn all over the place, having just completed that conversation about what the price he was offering its compensation. And the last thing he said is, but we should settle for lunch first, then we can get back into business, and you all can get into your research. I can answer any questions you might have. And perhaps you can answer some questions I might have for you as well. But are you all hungry?
Yeah.
Starving.
Sounds great.
I could eat.
Yeah.
Very well. And he he walks out of the room.
Okay, bye. Should we follow or?
Oh, no. You can stay right. His head pops back from the doorway. No, you may stay for a moment. I'm just going to alert one of the attendants. And by the way, he's still like completely masked up. He doesn't have like the kind of ostentatious garb. He still has the same seashell mask, but he's wearing much plainer attire of that same dark charcoal color that Gamut's outfit was in. Same wrappings around his hands and gloves. Nowhere where you can see his skin except under his eyes.
Did he have shoes on, Sean?
He did have a set of very quiet slippers.
I noticed that, and I'm gonna get comfortable and take my shoes off because I think it's impolite.
Bruce?
Am I in that room still, or?
Yes, they haven't taken you and Septimus away yet.
We lost him.
Yeah.
No.
No, you
Well,
are
you're
still.
still
you're in
there.
the room.
You're still in the room. Is what I said. For a moment there, Bruce hopped into his bag of holding and then popped back in.
Yeah. Really?
Yes, I know. Fioren's feet are very stinky. Could you please put your boots back on?
Just
But
fucking
come
bought those
on,
boots.
this is his bedroom. You see that cot over there? I don't want to mess up his floors.
This is not a bedroom. This is... It's sad is what it is. A little obsessive, if you ask me.
Okay, just because it's not as nice as the place that you would stay doesn't make it sad.
I'm just saying, who sleeps in the same place they work? It's obsessive.
Lots of people. Lots of people.
No, you
Yeah.
should separate your work and your home life.
Not everyone has the means.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna agree with
Loveless.
Saskia here. It's not, sometimes you gotta sleep at work, where you work.
Thank you, Bruce.
No.
You fall asleep at your
No, that
desk,
means
you
you're
do it.
dedicating too much, okay? You are not just the value of your production. You are
Maybe-
more than that.
Maybe he has nowhere else to go.
Yeah, but,
I
He works in
suppose-
this
gives you-
fucking university. Of course he has somewhere else to go.
You don't know that.
Oh, I know it. Trust me. Look at this place. He probably gets paid
I
easy.
fucking dare you to ask
easy.
him. Ask him when he comes back in.
Okay, I will.
Better.
And it's at that moment you turn that he's just standing at the door.
So you live here, or do you have somewhere else that you call home?
Who's
Very
who's he
rude of
gonna
you.
side with? Who's he gonna
I
side
know. Oh, shush. He cocks his head and looks to each of you who kind of said an opinion there, and kind of chuckles a little bit. So quick to make presumptions as soon as I'm out of the room about the accommodations around here. I have
I made
other
the presumptions
means.
well before you left, by the way.
Fair, you do seem like a presumptuous man. Not an insult. Presumption has its benefits, although we should always modify as we learn. I don't
Listen, no
live here.
shoes.
I don't mind if you take your shoes off. But this is not my home. There is simply a cot here if I wish to stay late. I don't want to walk home. I keep a very, very quiet home, and I will not be telling you where that is.
Understandable. By the way, how much do you get compensated for your work here?
For my work here, I don't draw a large salary here. That is due to accommodations provided by the university. I'd prefer to take my compensation in the form of housing and a very small stipend for food, drink. There's not much I need,
Oh.
truly, that's not here.
How small are we talking?
Enough.
This doesn't seem very polite.
I'm sorry. How is this not polite? I'm just trying to do a little research about potential jobs for us in the future.
You see, I like to pour my income back into the work I have with folk like you. Pour it back
Oh,
into
yeah.
the budget of my research.
Well, we very much appreciate the offer for our work and your initial, pricing for the job well done, which I'm sure it will be, was very generous. Please excuse my friend here for being so forward. He's always looking for opportunities for all of us. Speaking of your work, I know it's only been a few days, but we had previously discussed what you were going to be doing with those artifacts that we left for you to research. I was wondering if you've made any progress.
Yes, it's only been a few days, but once I get your friends here settled in the study chambers, I can show you where we have kept the live specimens, and you can see that they are indeed being tended to quite well. The sandwiches will arrive shortly, as well as, would anyone like, I'm afraid in this office I only have tea, but I can get you any coffee or water if you need it.
Tea is fine.
Yeah.
Fearn's trying very hard to be polite, and he tries to put his finger through the teacup, but it doesn't quite fit. So he's holding it with two fingers, and it's shaking a little because he's kind of like never had a cup this small before.
And Sigil raises
he doesn't want to
his-
hold it with two hands.
Yeah, and Sigil waves his hand, and you see the kettle comes off of the stove and pours some hot coffee into the cup where the tea is, and then goes over and fills other cups.
Cool.
Bruce, Septimus, would you like to go to the study now?
Yes.
Right. Come with me. Come with me. I have alerted one of my workers to bring you certain texts that I think would be most beneficial. Would you prefer to be together in the chamber or share separate chambers?
We could probably cover more ground if separate.
Fair enough. And he leads Bruce and Septimus out of his office, and the three of you are left in the office as you start to hear the sounds of something kind of like rickety, like sounding like someone walking on stilts from outside the office. As you would then, and Bruce, you would see this first with Septimus as they're walking out, and I imagine both of you take note of this. You see an automaton, a rather rusty and old-looking automaton that is worse for wear, as it is on these long legs, very, very kind of thin, and like you can see like the strings coming off the legs to these sort of gears and all over, where it's just sort of like much more of like a puppet than a proper self-moving automaton, as it's just sort of rickety like walking with the tray of sandwiches into the room. And the rest of you now would see this automaton that's about 8 feet tall bend down and step in. Its legs and arms are very thin and long, almost spindly, almost spider-like, as it kind of almost plops down with its knees up to its chest to move into the room and stands up tall, its head almost touching the chandelier in the middle of this chamber. Its face is just sort of this blank square, really, more like a rounded square with just a smiley face drawn on it, in like chalk, and you can see on its chest, which is really just sort of this very small cylinder, all made of wood. Like he's completely made out of wood. You would then see like a little satchel there with chalk in it of different colors. You can see like a green, a red, a blue, a white. Currently there's green. The smiley face is in green on his face. And then in his waist is a bucket of water with a rag. As they just sort of... no noise, just sort of the strings moving. You know, like every time it moves its arm, you see like several strings pull to get the arm to move up. And then it clambers the tray onto the table. And you see these sandwiches with the crusts cut off just kind of bounce on the table.
Thank you. I bow back.
And it just clockworks its way back out.
Huh.
That was creepy.
Sound better.
I eat a sandwich.
It's tuna fish.
Oh.
Not quite
I have no
liked
problem
it.
with that.
I was. It's funny. I didn't mean that to sound like it's gross. I think that's the Sean coming out, and that I don't like tuna fish sandwiches. I meant like that's it's a seaside port. They got seafood, so it's tuna fish sandwich.
I'm trying really hard to be polite and not like stuff my face, but I've definitely got two in there at once.
Oh yeah, there's plenty there though. Like there's like if you were to each of you could each have 5 sandwiches off of this, but they're not like big. They're little tea sandwiches.
Yeah.
On a nice little platter.
Cutting triangles.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I would also be eating my share.
Bruce, he would walk you down a corridor where on the right side is stone wall, on the left is big library bookcases, in varying, like, there's a lot of like rows of bookcases, but you also notice like in some places they're just sort of like this weird spiral staircase where the interior wall of it is bookshelves that spiral up. There's just various shapes of bookshelves around. And again, these weird, just piles and piles of books that are unorganized, as if books are not being put back in the shelves after they've been taken out. And they're just being piled close to the category. And eventually you would get to these, this long hall of doors that cuts into that right wall. And on the left and right, there are doors, kind of odds and evens. And there's actually quite a few of them. There's probably 10 in total, 5 on each side. But he eventually leads you to the first two, where he points to one for Septimus and one for you. And then hands both of you a scroll, and then opens the scroll up and starts to read what you quickly, as a successful businessman, identify as the terms and conditions of using these rooms. And he's listing off things. He's reading it very fast, listing off things like, you know, if I agree to enter into this room, I understand that I may grow sick, may grow nauseous, may experience hyper-aging, may experience a significant loss of hearing. Lists all the side effects. One of which he says, I agree to leave behind all self-doubt before entering into the room. Otherwise, I risk unraveling my mind if I spend too long in there. I agree to not hold the university liable for any loss of memory or significant aging that comes through my use of these rooms. Several things basically waiving your rights to sue the university or to claim any kind of misappropriation.
And during that, you know, Bruce is kind of like just messaging Septimus through that whole thing. Like, oh my gosh, just very little banter.
And he looks at you, and Sigil would look at you and say, "Of course, a lot of this is legalese, but there are risks. I do suggest if you do feel uneasy to evacuate the chamber as quickly as possible. We have installed emergency pulleys that if you pull on it, it will cease the enchantment within the chamber immediately, allowing you to breathe, take a break, and return to this timeline. Please do not bring... The one part that is probably the most serious is to not bring in any of your internal self-doubts into the chamber. You must have a sturdy mind to withstand the might of this magic. We've heard reports from the creator of these chambers, High Arcanist Sarathil over in Gwenvalir, that memories can seep in inappropriately. One does not steal their mind. Now, we have developed a elixir that can help with this. If you need assistance in relieving yourself of self-doubts.
I mean, I'll take the elixir just in case if it's free.
I will warn you, you will physically expel your self-doubts into a small basin that will be returned to you upon your exit from the chamber.
What is it, like Lexapro or some other?
I've not heard about the elixir Lexapro, but it is quite potent. Quite potent. Is that something from Halcyon?
Halcyon, yeah.
Quite popular in the city of Halcyon.
Yeah.
Well, we have these dunamantic elixirs.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds terrifying, but It's probably fine.
We're gonna
It's just free of charge, right?
Oh, it comes. It's part of the deal of preparations for this.
All right.
Normally, there is
sure.
a charge for the elixir, but as you are working under my employ with this contract, you have some for free.
Perfect.
We're gonna cut away from Bruce and Septimus here, so that we can check in with the other three. Shortly after, our friend would return. Sigil would return, as he has deposited the other two into their time chambers. When you probably have maybe like 5 or 10 minutes alone in here. Is there anything you all would want to talk about while you have the space alone, or are you just munching on sandwiches?
I think Jacquette would be looking around for any official-looking documentation.
Absolutely. Give me an investigation check.
The fuck are you snooping for?
When are we not snooping?
That's fair.
4.
Put that back where you found it.
No, Jacquette's not picking anything up. He's simply observing. He's looking for like just the simplest like missive, like he's looking for letterhead, kind of just scoping it out. So he's like turning papers around, looking at them and turning them back and putting them where he found them. He's not looking for like information per se, just looking for how they format their documentation.
Very easy to do. I'm not going to say, basically, based on your role, it's not that you don't see these things because they are there. It's that you just don't internalize them enough to kind of bring them into your forgery later, potentially.
Gotcha.
You can recognize a standard. You can recognize letterheads as well. And sort of formal stamps and basically with the 4, you can discern that there is a formal style to the correspondence, writings, and organization of paperwork in the bureaucracy of this academy that with further research you could surmise more thoroughly, and maybe with future features maybe not have to even do that much research after this.
I think after eating sandwiches, Fionn would just start like taking some of the books that are scattered around and start like organizing them in alphabetical order. Maybe stacking them in a big old tower because it is fun and a little neater. Just because he's bored and he's kind of curious as to like what this guy's been reading.
Yeah, go ahead and give me just a general investigation check just to see some of the books laying around.
As he's doing that, Jacquette looks over at him and goes, "Don't you know it's rude to touch other people's things?"
You're one to talk.
I know, that's why he said it. As he picks up a piece of paper and puts it back down.
I imagine this entire time Sass is in the middle of the room, like with more sandwiches in her mouth.
Just nomming on those sandwiches, trying to get her fill.
I'm tidying. People tidy. Fancy people tidy all the time, right?
No, they tend to have their servants do the tidying for them.
Well, I don't want to say anything, but that little stick man that was in here earlier is probably not capable of balancing very well. Look, I've got like 20 in a row in a stack here.
Yeah, it's impressive.
I got
Hopefully
a 15,
he likes
by
it
the
that
way.
Yeah, I mean, generally these books are very common to find books on elemental magic here. You find some books, you see some books that have different large words you've never seen before in reference to planes of existence that have been studied and known. You see one that says, one that mentions something like Athromenos, one that might say the 9 hells and the abyssal star. Just generally a lot of books about planar magic. And with an elemental theme to it. With
Cool.
probably the exception being 1 or 2 books on research into the Machina. Not Machina's Whisper, but the broad term for the awoken machines that awoke before the rise of Halcyon many years ago. Particularly, I'd say one of the titles is Early Machina in the Renewed Aradun Era. And many like sketches from these books that are on his that are loosely around where he's been sketching ideas and drawing pictures of elementals in the stages of their life. You see one of the raccoons where you can see like the small heart, and then you see a drawing of the fire raccoon with a few notes in it. But eventually he would interrupt this perusing.
I hope you don't mind. I was just tidying.
And he kind of looks up at the stack of books and nods. Oh, I very much don't mind. If I truly had a qualm with you perusing, I would not leave you alone here. So, I believe I promised to show you around a bit, but also answer any questions you might have, whether that pertains to current business or future business that we might engage in. Any thoughts?
I think you had a pretty generous offer. I recently got this device back from Dolvana. Remember, I asked you if you could repair it, and you referred me to her. It seems pretty powerful, but it's not completely unlocked yet. And she gave me a pretty expensive price point to get it repaired. Is there anyone else that you might recommend that I could at least compare? Because this thing, it's out of my range at least.
When I need artifacts repaired, I typically will go to Dovana, particularly those that have arcane or elemental persuasions. More machine-based repairs, I will go to wherever I can find it. Is rather rare, this city. I'm not sure of other arcane repair shops, artificers, perhaps in the artificing college, but it's rather hard to get in there. You'd have to probably post an advertisement for such services, but I don't believe you'll find a better deal than whatever Dovana is offering you. She's quite generous with her offers, especially to friends.
Fair enough.
Something like this charm that you need repaired, it's quite simple to re-energize it, re-infuse it with magic, but to truly make those enchantments, those infusings permanent requires significant resources and labor. And it's dangerous, so the price is going to always be quite steep for any sort of magical enchantments or infusings that are not done by yourselves or by friends.
Right. I should have asked her what she needs. Maybe I could find some of the reagents through my travels, but I suppose the price is the price.
Well, perhaps when you return from this quest, I might be able to devise a way for you all to identify reagents and resources out there in the field, so to speak, that could be useful in such repairs or creations to allow you to source your own materials, I suppose.
That's right. I mean, we are going to places that apparently have some sort of elemental affliction. Maybe we'll find some more artifacts to sell to you, or on the way or use ourselves. I can carry a lot, so expect a big haul next time we come back.
Well, what the business deals we've done have been an exchange of goods, but not work yet. So I suppose you come back successful enough from this endeavor, I can increase our partnership through equipping you with the means to find these elemental reagents or other such precious items.
I'm sure some of us would be interested in that.
Coin's coin. As long as the price is right, we'd be happy to work for you.
Well, I'm quite satisfied with this arrangement between us all. I believe you all are... Well, I suppose we'll know in time, as it passes, whether you are worth more than a few raccoons. Speaking of which, would you like to see them?
Yes, I'd love to.
And he looks to Sass.
Whose mouth is bulging with these sandwiches, but big. Yeah, sure.
All right. All right. Come with me. Jacquette, is there anything I can offer you while you wait?
Oh,
for
that's
your
fine.
friends?
I'll come.
Excellent.
I don't know what else I would do around here.
I think you'll find they're quite well taken care of. And he walks out, waiting for you all to follow him.
I follow behind him, and as we're walking, I say, I was surprised coming in. The security around here is quite tight. I thought we wouldn't be able to see the little critters today.
Well, I suppose when you're with me, I can bring you to places your papers otherwise might not allow you. I did promise you that I would show you these creatures and where we are keeping them. So, it is only part of our deal that I show you. The university can understand that, I hope. And it's as he says that you all pass through the threshold back into the vestibule, and you see Gamut looks immediately to Sig and goes, excuse me, Professor, as Sigel's just kind of walking beyond and not really paying attention to him as you follow.
I stick my tongue out at him.
They're not allowed. They're not allowed. Sigil just kind of looks back and says, "It'll be all right, Gamut. It's all part of a deal. Don't worry, I won't let them wander off and burn down anything. Or cause other mischief." And leads you out into the green outside. The what's the word for that? What I could call it?
Quad.
The mall.
Quad. Thank you. The quad. Out into the quad, where you can see students of all ages all over the place, wandering to and fro. You can see there are these beautiful fountains in this space. You can see there are several ornate trees that seem to be somewhat infused with magic, where you can see from the bow of their trunks sprouts branches that look to be almost crystalline, and the leaves are all almost gem-like coming off of it, of different colorations, and it's quite pleasant here. You can see students studying, you can see students practicing magic amongst each other. You can see folks working on little contraptions. For those of you in the room who've kind of been clocking the animosity towards machines in the lower area, it doesn't seem to be that prevalent here. They seem to be quite okay with automatons, little trinkets. They might be questionable if they saw like Sal just walking around. They might stop him and be like, "We must study him. You can't have him just wandering around. We need to bring him into the chambers and figure out what his deal is." But there's much less of a animosity towards machines here.
Honestly, these grounds are amazing. I've never seen anything like them. I almost wish my father could see it. How do you get so much money to fund all of this crazy stuff?
Was your father an academic?
He was, in his own humble way. He taught me a little bit about the arcane.
Well, you see, here at the Hyvin Academy, certainly our origins are in the arcane, but we have recently invested more heavily into STEM. And the resources come from the Commodore. He has a particular interest in supporting academic pursuits.
And STEM, you mean like flowers, right?
Oh, yes. No. Particularly the creation, artificing, work with the machines. You see, in Solonel, there's more of a exploitative mind to academia, which is why many of us find shelter here, Ivan, where the Commodore, yes, wishes to leverage our research, but has a mind for balance, where he kind of looks around a little bit at this next line. Well, the governor in Solonel looks to extraction.
Where I come from, magic is defined or more with a reverence. It's a holy act to train in the magic arts and study the elements. But we're not very accustomed to these mechanical creatures.
Why, there are some who view these mechanical creatures as having a certain spark of the divine within themselves.
Ah, yes, Machina's whisper.
Certainly, yes, that organization is said to exist. There are others who just, of their own accord, have, whether it is true or not, or whether it is just perceptions of our mortal minds, projections of grace onto these creatures, these machines. You know, one does notice strange behavior from them at times that are either explained by the enchantments upon them working in specific ways, or a malfunctioning of gears or string can very easily be seen as a gesture of feeling, compassion, heart. Contemporary minds, though, view it as inconclusive as of yet. Much the way we look to a mountainside with a particular erosion and see a face, or look to the two windows and front door of a small cottage, or project our own feelings onto our little friends. As he turns a corner and you can see this larger open grassy area that seems to be kind of contained within sort of a wiring fence that's sort of a wide open pasture for live specimen to move about in. This one particularly seems to have elemental creatures in it.
Up until recently, the only emotions I've seen out of these mechanoids is anger and violence. I always assumed that it had something to do with how they steal the elements' powers to function, as if they're cursed or the elements trapped inside are rebelling against their new forms.
A contemporary mind would view your insinuations as a simple anthropomorphizing of devices. Just as I said before, what seems like anger might simply be protocol to defend a humanoid, or protocol to destroy threats to a certain space. And it's the reason why we advise the country folk to stay away from them. We don't know what their purpose is, what they were enchanted or built to do in some situations. And we, as mortals, often perceive those things as with heart and purpose, or anger, violence, prejudice. They are machines. They don't have hearts.
One could say that magic is a force of nature, no? And nature has heart. Nature has spirit. It has emotions. The waves in the ocean. Can we see the ocean from here?
Yes. Yes, or
Okay.
you can't really see it, you can hear it, though. You can definitely hear it.
Okay. The waves of the ocean, you know, whether it's us invoking those thoughts of soul, or the water itself, even the blades of grass, Jacquet says, gesturing to the fields around us, seem to bend not only with the wind, but with the rhythm of life, no? So maybe it is the magic of these machines that give them heart.
And you see Sigil, because you clearly can't see the emotions on his face, but he does hold his hand up and kind of shakes it, pointing to you, and even to Fearn. Not in a, like, you know, a judgmental way, but
Right.
like, those sorts of minds, those sorts of curiosities are necessary. For if everyone were to just accept what I just said as truth, we might be ignoring an entire spectrum of existence. So I agree that we should be curious, but cautious. Do not let our prejudices find solutions where there are not solutions. But yes, there is heart in nature, and magic is an extant form of nature. So perhaps the fanatics are right. Spirits within the machines are what allow us their grace. I'd be curious to see the studies.
They don't all have grace. I noticed the autonomatron in your library is a little lacking.
They are very old and very outdated, one might say. We do have some other models, as they call them, that are a bit more adept, that just need the right hand. But regardless, let's meet your little friends and then go retrieve your other friends from their study. And he opens the gates on up, and you kind of go into a little holding area, and then can enter in. And in here, you would see all the raccoons that you gave to him. 2, you would see most of the hearts you gave him. He has restored the raccoons, and they are running amok. But you would also see a few other creatures of elemental sort. You can see all throughout this area are these small little wisps that are points of light, probably no bigger than like a ping pong ball, that are of varying colors. You can imagine these to be sprites of some elemental nature. Fear, and you would even have kind of a knowledge that these are sometimes like seen to be non-sentient elementals, sort of like these arguably like a larval stage of an elemental or an egg stage of an elemental that might grow into something more substantial depending on its environment. You would also notice these really interesting creatures, and there's 3 of them here, that look They look like they're made of mud and rock, and they just sort of sit there with these long, like stumpy legs that have kind of like this, like almost like elephant feet at the end, with just sort of like 3 or 4 toes there. And they just sort of have like these arms that come out like this to side on each side, kind of opened out with space underneath them, and they kind of come up with their necks being these long thick necks that come up to a face that kind of comes down into a long anteater like snout that kind of is the only part that doesn't is kind of like has any kind of prehensile nature to it. And they have these interesting, like almost like drowsy eyes drawn in. Actually, that's a good comparison. They kind of look like a drowsy, now that I think about the way I'm describing them. But made out of like dry rock and earth. And they just sit there in this position. And every time you look away from them, you could swear they've moved, but you never actually see them moving. Not once. But there's 3 of them here, and they're kind of just dispersed amongst these kind of grounds. Occasionally you'll see some of the raccoons jumping on them and cuddling up with them. The creatures don't like move to embrace. They just sort of stay there. But at this point, I think I'm going to jump over to Bruce in his time chamber.
Sure.
Brucey boy, you there? There he is. Alex, what do you think Bruce would want to study most here? What about magical sickness is he most interested in?
Probably origins of how to rectify any sort of, if there are any like viruses and just general practices of like how to care for somebody, how to possibly make an antidote if needed, like what are the general procedures of X, Y, and Z. Bruce is not a doctor or no shit. He's got a lot of time to just
yeah
mess around, and then he's gonna be like, all right, well, maybe if I could glean some information, I could maybe find a chemist eventually, and then be like, here are things, make a thing. I know the general practice, but I don't know specifics.
Okay, so go ahead and give me a intelligence check of your choice. It can be history, it can be nature, it can be arcana, it can even be religion if you want to. Basically any of the intelligence checks.
I'm gonna do arcana.
Okay, go for it.
See if there's any sort of like magic based bullshit I can do. I got a 25.
25, excellent. All right, so you would be sifting through some of these books. You would be reading, you might have a few references there, a few books that reference each other that you're moving through. It's going to take you a couple hours really to go through all of this, which in reality is only going to be a couple minutes. So you, the biggest thing you find, or the most common thing you find for most magical maladies, is the Lesser Restoration spell, or some infusion of the Lesser Restoration spell, whether it is finding a alchemical way to mimic the Lesser Restoration spell, or finding a druid or a ranger who knows of reagents in the wild that can mimic a Lesser Restoration spell or do the same effects, or straight up cleric, druid, who knows how to invoke the divine purification. There's a lot of text about paladins and their ability to extract poison from folk as an alms, a good alms that they do often, particularly hedge paladins who are travelers versus temple paladins or guardian paladins who have a more stationed position somewhere in a town that has a true temple You know, unlike Hyvin that has kind of a disrepaired temple district, other places have grand temples, and you read a little bit about those and how you're really out of luck. You can always try to find one of these temples, and they can perform certain alms given that you have the correct reagents. There's a tiny little section of that same book that talks about two lesser known means of healing. One is through Divine Pact, and it talks about this in a negative tone. It almost talks about these people as like magical cheaters who game the system, game deities, game extraplanar beings into gifting them with the ability to do these things. And they overall have a tone of selfishness when it comes to these beings known as warlocks, and their constant attempts to take shortcuts in the magical world, causing problems left and right. And then there's another section that talks about some colleges of bards who know how to manipulate reality through music and other means and words even. Like the you read about the power of I'm trying to remember what it's called. I can't find it right now, but basically the magic behind names and words, and how some bards are able to manipulate that to manipulate reality. These two last sections, there's not a lot of info on. It's basically just them writing like, we've heard about it, while the other sections are like, this is well researched. There are divine means and there are natural means to heal magical maladies, and then there are these sort of side means that not a lot of folks look into, because they're not looked at as legitimate. They're looked at as lesser. And then you find not as much info, but a little bit of info on the greater version of that, greater restoration. And then you do see some. There's a very like a contemporary book that he gives you that talks about more natural means, and also more manufactured means within the alchemy industry to try to do these things without any magic, like trying to distill the druid and rangers forms into more mass-produced, more available to many, to create a more well-rounded, healthier society. Sort of, these are more aspirational writings you find, where people are like, I dream of a factory that can distill, lesser restoration in a bottle that we can then just use as an injection when someone is sick to completely heal everything, and there would be no problems and no need to bring in the cleric and give them alms and all of this. But this seems like something that is being researched, but is around the corner more so than a reality right now. But this takes a long time for you to cross-reference all of this and read through it. That I know meta-wise is basically what you probably already know. But is the major gist that you get from this. They do talk about how individuals who are not experts can develop the skills to provide temporary relief until an expert can come through skilled medicine usage, through just knowing and being able to identify some of the more common herbs and reagents to heal or alleviate some of the symptoms of these diseases or maladies, until someone of a more expert class can come to fully resolve the issue. But yeah, that's most of what you get there.
All right, I'll probably write down a bunch of the herbs on, Bruce is taking a lot of notes.
Yeah. You have plenty of time to like jot down any of the like quick hand that you need for like, oh, we can find some of this and it will reduce their fever and make them less erratic. Origin wise, the main means of how magical maladies happen. There's some classic ones written almost tongue-in-cheek, almost jokingly, talking about mad wizards and witches in the woods and, ghosts and spirits and all of these other, sort of realities, but not something you often see on the streets of Hyvin. So they talk about them in very almost like city folk talking about old wives' tales in the countryside. The way you catch a witch's cough because you walked past an old woman and didn't give her reverence, and like weird stories like that. Exactly. And then more recent, more naturalistic discoveries like consumption of contaminated crops coming from pollution or coming from nefarious actors who are contaminating those crops for purposes of devastation or rivalry or whatever their motivations are. But there's always a possibility that it's someone contaminating water sources, crops, faulty medicine coming from snake oil salesmen, and then sometimes just good old-fashioned plague. There's particularly, you find sections, interestingly, not written by her, but her field of microlife, discussing some of the theories behind sickness that comes from smaller life forms, or contaminations carried by smaller life forms, like rats, small birds, small elemental creatures. Any kind of magical creature might carry with them magical pathogens that we don't fully understand. This part is very like new naturalist research into means of public health, ordered by the commodores of the Aldhalor Islands to learn
Bruce
how to
get a subclass into a virologist?
Yeah, yes. Bruce is going to write his renowned book on elemental evolution in the smallest of life. Hey, if you all end up just enrolling in the university, we'll roll with it. We'll have a whole campaign of you all writing theses.
And then we all have to present on camera.
Yes. And that'll be the end of the campaign. You all become full PhD doctorates in the Hyvin Academy. And then just in the background, some other storylines happening.
Yeah. The world's going to shit. Like,
but it's like, did you hear about what's happening in Halcyon and outside of the academy? Don't talk to me about it. I've got my thesis proposal next week. All right. So beyond these sort of studies, is there anything else Bruce is looking to do while in this chamber?
Probably. I mean, he would probably, if he was able to, like, pick up a couple of, like, if he had more time, see what books were available for, like, fun reading, like various traps, like, oh, what do they have on, like, trinkets and cool enchantments, inherent to the artificer class, and yeah, just like various traps out there, mines, or like, this explosion of elemental, like water, for example, or that this Sindel has created. Bruce kind of gained some information from looking at it, but if there's any books on that further, he'd be interested to deconstruct
Absolutely.
it further.
So
that he can...
Give me a let's say a history check this time.
Okay. Ooh, that's a 2 for a 7.
Okay, so you're not going to find anything with like details about it. mostly just because this was kind of I'll say with that role, this was sort of an afterthought, and you weren't able to. There wasn't enough time for you to get any hard books on this where it has actual details in it. You also might surmise that some of these books are not in the library right now, but are probably out for loan to the Artificers College on campus. The only book you get is sort of it's not even like a research book. It's actually like more of a archived and transcribed article from a newspaper in Solonel, talking about a individual called Felcorin, who is said to be Felcorin's son Bissell, who is said to be a sort of the preeminent artificer in Solonel for elemental infusion and sort of the tinkering of small devices that are infused with elemental magic. Seen as sort of a higher level of scholar that is not part of the Hyvin Academy, but is part of an institute in Solonel. The article is particularly about, given you what your reference for research, is particularly about a invention of his used to create fire brigades in Solonel, to create devices that use similar ever-flowing water traits to put out fires in the very tightly packed city of Solonel. So, it's got like a headline like, Felcorin's device saves lives. Well, Felcorin's device saves lives while cooling us all off in the summertime heat. But yeah.
Neat.
Give me a quick Constitution saving throw.
That should be +3. That should be a 22.
Cool. So I would say nothing happens to you. You don't suffer any side effects or manifestations of your self-doubt. But when you're reading this last article, you do start to feel a little uneasy, a little nauseous. You're starting to feel like you might need to leave the chamber soon.
Yeah, I would wait for the very last moment, and then I would pull
Perfect.
Ding.
Bardly.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm gonna jump back to the rest of the group, and then we'll
Yep.
kind of have them rejoin you at the next point. So, the three of you are in the elemental pen, where you have these earthen cuddlers, as they're called, the raccoons and the sprites. Those are the three main creatures here. But Sigil is kind of just showing you around, showing you that they're well fed, they have toys to play with, that the space is proofed so that they don't hurt themselves or hurt others. So as you can see, they are perfectly well taken care of and live their days in somewhat leisure, truthfully. Maybe an hour here or there where they need to go off with one of our specialists to study, but for the most part they spend their time here.
I gotta say, this is pretty impressive. I wasn't expecting it to be, so comfortable for them.
Well, certain insistences on my part in the elemental life department insisted on taking care of our specimens. There are other academies or institutions that might be harsher on their animal subjects, but not here. At least not while I work here.
And these large fellows, I point to one of the anteater looking things.
Mhm.
Are they, am I correct in assuming that they're to protect if the test subjects, start acting inappropriately?
That is quite an astute observation there, Fionn. You're all very curious in a delightful way. Yes, they may look inert as we see them now, but if one of the raccoons or even the sprites begin to grow restless and need to be held, not aggressively down, but more in the way of swaddling to relax them, the earthen cuddlers will hold on tight to them, or just simply be there as a means of stress relief. As many of these creatures are quite stressed outside of their home plane. They can cuddle up with these earthen creatures. They quite enjoy it. They're naturally very parental, these creatures, we've found in our studies. You can find them all over Aldhalor. If you ever find them in the wild, you're feeling a bit stressed, they might be helpful. But,
I wonder how they fare against something a little bit more powerful than these little creatures.
well, there's all sorts of earthen cuddlers out there. We've heard reports of some as large as an oak tree in some places. They are like any elemental. They'll grow endlessly given the right environment. So eventually become part of their environment. So the next time you're hiking, and forgive my reference to earlier, and you see a face in some rocks, you might be hiking across a cuddler. But
That sounds a little disturbing. I wouldn't want to be stepping on an elemental of such power and mass.
happens more often than you think. Well, it's been several minutes. Your companions have had several hours now within their chambers, and maybe even suffering some side effects that we may need to go release them from. If you don't mind, we should head back.
I think at this point, I take out the prismatic heart of the raccoon shaman that I was holding off on, and I basically give it to him and say, "I'll leave this here. I suppose it'll probably be safer with with more of its like."
Well, we will certainly see what we can do with it. Appreciate your offering.
Don't you want to get some extra coin for that, Aaron?
He kind of like hesitates and he says, "I suppose it would be nice to have some travel money if we're going to help you out."
Oh, well, I can certainly look into the coffers for compensation for this. Yes, when we get back to my office, I'll take a look at what we can offer you for it. As far as travel, again, I'm intending to give you a compensation to help you get to Billowgrass. Sort of a deposit, as one might say.
Sounds fair. And I take the prismatic heart and I kind of just like waltz up to one of these cuddlers and I like pull its arm like forward and then like put it like in its hand.
Yeah, and as soon as you touch the cuddler, the rest of you, it looks like he's just holding hands with the statue. To you, Fear, as soon as you're holding the hand of the cuddler, it animates, and you can see it's like sort of take the heart and sort of pull it into its chest. And for the rest of you, if you look away and look back, suddenly it's holding the heart. Like you don't really see it happen. It's almost a trick of perspective that suddenly it's holding the heart, and it almost has like this little smile underneath its long snout coming down.
I don't like that.
But Fear, as soon as its hand leaves yours, you suddenly it's still again, and suddenly it is holding this in a very tender way, holding his heart. They're strange creatures that only when you are cuddling with them or physical contact with them do you see their actual movements.
Kieran thinks he could take one in a fight, but he saves that for another day.
Excellent. So, you all head back. And as you're meandering through, you get back to the library. And it's as soon as you get back to the library that you start to hear a lot of commotion inside the library. And you see running out of the library towards you all is Gamut, going, "Professor! Where have you been? Where have you been? One of your guests? There's something going on. Come, quickly, to the chambers." And he just books it.
We follow him.
Yeah.
As we're going, Jacques turns to the other two. What do you think, Bruce or Septimus? Who caused the issue?
I have a hard time believing either of them did.
It was Bruce.
That would be correct.
Before we cut to break, Bruce, you step out of your chamber once you pull the string. Basically, once you pull the string, like this brightly lit chamber that is very comfortable, it all kind of fades away, and you're just in a very dimly lit chamber with just simple candles versus these bright lights. And you can hear right outside the door just like this like whirling sound, like wind, and it sounds like papers are flapping all over the place, as you can hear the clockwork of that automaton out there, and like a little bit of yelling. And as soon as you step out of the chamber, or actually, I guess I should ask this: would you step out of the chamber as you hear this?
Yeah, he put his ear to the door first, and then he put his goggles on so he can look through the door.
Yeah. What you see is, I don't even need a perception check because you can just see this with the goggles, is some kind of elemental creature. With the goggles, it just looks like this amorphous blob that's kind of in a semi-humanoid shape is just attacking this automaton, while you hear attendants all around there kind of just like yelling, and like these are just students, so they don't like know what to do in this moment, but you can see there's maybe 2 attendants kind of standing back, not sure what to do, as this big automaton is just sort of like trying to hold back this elemental creature.
Yeah, Bruce is gonna like just step away from the door and then just try to find like a hiding place while also just watching what's going on.
Excellent. The rest of you are running in.
Bruce running away.
Yeah, right? The rest of you go running in with Sigil, and you see that 8-foot-tall automaton made of strings and wood is like holding its hands back up against this big black ichor elemental that looks like it's made out of ink. As it is just kind of swiping at this creature, trying to pull it apart. As you can see, these little birds flying around that Bruce couldn't see because of his tremor sense, made up of paper and like book pages of a book that are flying all around it, like a swarm. And that's where we're gonna take a break. Oh, roll for initiative.
Wow.
All right, folks, we'll be back in a couple minutes to jump into combat. Please stick around, and we will see you all soon for this rave of a combat. See you in a bit. Welcome back to Adrift in Aldhalor. Oops, I did not reframe the battle map for having one less person. So, let me do that real quick.
All good?
All good, yeah, I just forgot to reframe that. It'll only take me a couple seconds.
So you know what I says to him? I says to him, hey, you're an inky guy.
Boo.
Huh?
Sean, could I have cast Armor of Agathis on myself before I came into the room?
I'm gonna say yes,
Cool.
because you were running about.
Sean, can I cast Power Word Kill on myself?
On yourself?
Yeah.
No, I won't allow it.
Oh, okay.
Why did I do it this way? All right, we're cooking. All
Doing
right.
great. It looks awesome.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Nice.
Pull out a little bit. Frame. Excellent. All right, so you all have rushed forward. Bruce, you are kind of right by that door. You can be still kind of inside of it, peeking out. Just about, I'd say, like 10 feet into that back chamber where you can kind of just behind the elemental. To the south of the map, we have big stacks of bookshelves that leads into a deeper labyrinth of bookshelves that you can climb on, do whatever you want with. On the right there, we have our heroes who have just entered in here. You see the two attendants have kind of retreated backwards as soon as you've arrived. Kind of like, okay, people who work for the boss are here. Sigil is right behind you. And he's kind of looking about, and I'll say his eyes are pointed towards the hallway where you can presume Bruce and Septimus are. He seems to have the way he's standing, he seems to be wanting to go for a beeline there, and he's going to take his opportunity when he can. Well, go ahead and roll initiative, or give me your initiatives if you've already rolled them. 20 to 25. 15 to 19.
18.
17.
Nice. 10 to 14.
14.
And what'd you get?
6.
6 from Jaquette. Okay.
Get the nat ones out early.
Okay. All right, so it is the Ink Guardian is up first. Actually, no, Sass, you're up first. Actually,
Awesome. Okay. So we come rushing in, we see this thing. I am immediately going to start running towards those stairs to get some height.
Okay.
I have 35, 10, 15, 20, 20. I think I get to the base of the stairs with my movement,
15.
right? I have 30.
Yeah, you can
Yep.
just start getting on the stairs.
All right. So
Just a quick reference because I didn't mention it. That little like scorpion in the middle there, that like mess of things, that's the automaton that as soon as you walked in was like crushed down into the ground and is out of the fight.
Okay,
so Sass.
Yep.
You're
Yeah.
right here at the base of the stairs.
Yep.
What'd you like to do?
That's my movement. So as I've got like one foot on the stairs, ready to head up, I'm going to use my bonus action to summon a tentacle.
Okay. Where do you want it?
I would like it behind it. Like, yeah, behind it, so it has to turn away from the automaton. Okay, and then I'm gonna make that attack. That's crap. How do I do this? Okay, it's a D20. Ooh, nice. 23 to hit.
23 hits.
Great. That is going to be 1d8 cold damage, and its speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of my next turn.
Nice.
Where's my D8? Here it is. Blech. 3 points of cold damage.
3 points of cold damage.
So that was my bonus action. And so then with one hand I summon the tentacle, and with my other hand I'm going to pew pew 2 blasts of Eldritch Blast, because I can do that now.
Nice. You watch
Level 5.
Your spectral tentacle goes and moves through it, leaving this frozen trail in the ink that then kind of breaks off into the actual ink itself. Go ahead for your Eldritch Blast.
All right, first one, natural 20.
Hell yeah.
So that's gonna be so 20 off the bat, right? Because we were doing the max damage.
Yep, 20 off.
Because it's 2d10. No, sorry. It's no, sorry. Because that's one. That's one. Yeah. No, D&D Beyond is trying to do it for me. That's
okay.
All right, so 10 plus 3 is 13 plus 4, 17 points of force damage.
Nice.
And second blast, nice, is a 22 to hit.
That will hit.
For 9 points of force damage.
Hey. All right. What does it look like as you? So give me a quick scene. You run in. You do these things. Let me hear it. What happens? The monsters are on deck, and then Theron after. Go for it, Sass.
So I kind of just like look back, panic to the other two, and just immediately spring into action. So I run to the base of the stairs. As I'm putting one foot up on the stair, I use my right hand to cast that tentacle, and as the tentacle is doing that, the cold damage through it, I throw out my left hand and pew pew, and it's like this like sickly green, almost like seaweed like magical energy that comes out of my hand, and I'm getting ready to go up the rest of the stairs. You're muted.
Excellent. And to describe these like stairs, they're not like permanent stairs. They're those library stairs that are like have railings and are like technically on wheels, but the wheels are stoppered right now. So if anyone wants to unstopper the wheels to do something,
is it like the ladder?
Wild,
is it like a ladder?
It's kind of like scaffold. You know, kind of like if you're in a store and you're going to pick something up.
Cool.
Okay. So yeah, you rush in. And you can see you kind of one hand brings it around as the tentacle comes up and swipes through, and then you fire off those Eldritch Blasts and grab onto the railing of the stairs. As you do that, you can see where your spells have impacted. You can see just sort of like there's this concussive damage happening, and then suddenly you hear this bubbling, and it just sort of pukes out a pile of ink that lands next to it.
Oh. Does it make little ones?
It looks like it, as that ink kind of just slowly comes up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't take chunks off of it!
Okay. All right, the ink's turn, and then Fearon, you're on deck. So the ink looks around. You can kind of see this semi-humanoid face kind of looking about with it. As you can see, these eyes kind of materialize as points of light. Does it have reach? It does not. -10 to its speed. So you see it moves through the wreckage of the automaton and kind of just absorbs the wreckage into its body.
Oh, jeez.
Fuck.
It is incredibly slow moving. In that it can only just get to Sass. And it's going to go for some attacks on you. First attack is a 13 to hit.
Nope.
Second attack is a 23 to hit.
Yup.
Okay. All right, that's going to be 6 bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
And then 8 acid damage.
Ooh.
As you feel this pseudopod-like tendril come out and smacks down into you and almost serrates. It almost becomes like there's a bludgeoning aspect to it, but then as soon as it hits you, it almost feels like the ink sharpens as soon as it hits your arm and slices in, injecting ink into your bloodstream.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's rough, and it's gonna do it
Yeah.
again.
Oh,
No, wait, no, I'm just kidding. That was 2 times. I forgot the first one missed. So it does those 2 attacks, and then its bonus action, it's going to expand its aura out of these birds, these flock of birds. So anyone within 20 feet of it, Sass alone, needs to give me a dexterity saving throw or a strength saving throw.
I already rolled the dex, and I would have chosen dex anyway. 10.
10. Okay, you don't quite make it. So it's a DC of 13, but you get basically these birds cover you. Like they just like flock onto you, and you're just covered in paper essentially. So your vision is obscured.
Okay.
Your movement speed is halved.
Okay.
And you are currently, for your purposes, there's no mechanical effect, but you're grappled by them.
Okay.
They're on
Okay.
you. Like the
Okay.
debuff is paper bird.
Paper bird,
That's
got
on
it.
you. You can make subsequent saving throws on the
Okay.
end of your next turn to get them off of you.
Okay.
Okay. Fearon, you are up. Bruce, you're on deck, and then Jacquette.
Fearn is going to close the gap. I believe that he's gonna try and get right up next to Saz and help her out by basically grabbing onto her and casting Protection from Evil and Good.
Ooh.
Nice.
Thanks.
Pretty much. Elementals have disadvantage on attack rolls against you.
Thank you, because it basically reduced me to half my health.
That's why I figured it's probably better on you than me.
Appreciate it.
And I will also, I think I'm just going to try and get its attention off of you by dropping an action surge. And I'm going to, I think I'm going to try casting Ray of Frost on... Yes, I'm going to cast Ray of Frost at it,
Go for
hoping to slow it down even further than it is already.
it. Yeah, Sass, how long is the slow effect? Is that just until the next turn? Your next turn?
Let me look that up.
Because it's from
for
your
you.
tentacle, right?
Yeah, it is till the start of my next turn.
Cool. So it currently is still down by 10 feet for its movement. But you go before it, so you got to keep hitting it to keep it up. What was the hit?
I didn't roll, but here we go.
Go for it.
I got a 19.
That hits.
Nice. So it deals 9 cold damage, and his speed is reduced by 10 feet for the next turn.
You watch as it's completely frozen at its base, essentially, and it can't move.
Perfect. That's exactly what Frion was planning on doing. And he says, "This is why you let me go first. I'll hold it here. Get to safety."
Okay.
All you hear is fuck, 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 fuck.
Yeah, it is. There's literally like someone is just like Sass has become a quest board at this point, as she's covered in these papers. Bruce, you're on deck. You can see your friends all running up and engaging with this creature. You can see Sass is covered in these birds. I mean, it's a little vague to you, but you can generally get most of it. You know, it's a little bit out of your range, but you're getting the, you know, your friends have arrived, is what I'm saying.
So Bruce is gonna. I mean, he just wrote a lot of books on elementals and sickness and stuff like that. Bruce is actually gonna try to investigate the room he's in and see if he can find any sort of gems.
Ooh. In the back in the time room, or out here in the hall?
In the time room.
Cool. Give me an investigation check. Are there any particular gems you're looking for?
An emerald, because that's what he's seen be used previously.
Cool.
Fuck. 14.
You're looking through, and I'll say you can't find an emerald right now, but you do notice that there are some books in here that have gems on the covers. So like there's a possibility of whatever you're looking for is in here. You just haven't found it this turn.
Okay.
Anything else you want to do on your turn?
Just as a preemptive bonus action, Sanctuary Self.
Excellent.
I forgot to mention, I used the bonus action to summon my sword at the end of my thing, so I'm holding a weapon.
No problem. No problem. Jacquette, you are up. Sass is on deck.
All right.
Really, Sigil is on deck.
Oh. Jacquette, looking at this thing, just goes, "What the fuck is an ink elemental weak against?" And then he like kind of opens his jacket, looks down, and he's gonna take out a flask of oil and goes, "Let's see." He's gonna move up to 20 feet and throw a flask of oil at the guy.
Okay. What are the mechanics of that?
So it's an improvised weapon. So it's, just my dex proficiency. Just gonna use a dagger. For a natural 20.
on the oil flask.
On the chuck?
Yes,
Nice.
on the chuck.
Okay, so yeah, I mean that hits. You get it. And what happens when something gets hit by the oil?
So it gets coated in oil. Wow, surprise, surprise.
Oh boy.
If you'll allow me, I think a thrown improvised weapon is a D4, right?
Correct.
But you don't add your modifier?
Correct. Yeah, unless you have the feat that allows you to.
Right, I do not. All right, so that's gonna be 4 plus max 4. Is 6. Oh, and then sneak attack. Obviously, I have to remember sneak attack. 6, 9, plus another 6, 15. So 15 points of improvised weapon damage. I guess maybe like piercing because it's
because of the glass.
Right, and for flavor's sake, like Jacquette again throws it and then shoots it out of the air to like try to maximize his coatage with the flask. And then is there anywhere outside 20-foot radius of the creature that I can hide as a bonus action?
Yes. You can. You might enter the 20-foot for a moment, but you can get out of it in the same turn. So if you can actually run to the hallway Bruce is in and hide in there, or you can run to the bookshelves. You can hide in there, or you can run back further away off the map and hide. That's also acceptable.
I guess the easiest thing would be to move back and hide. So I think
that won't put you in range at all. By the way, Bruce, or I'm sorry, Fearin, I forgot to ask you for a Dex or Strength save at the end of your turn. For being within the aura.
Dex or Strength? I will take Strength. I got a 14.
14. Okay, so you make your save. You are not covered in paper birds. Jacquette, I'll just say you're 15 feet back in the hallway.
Sounds good.
Hiding amongst the stacks of books. So go ahead and give me a stealth check.
21.
Yeah, you're hidden.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right,
Anything else, Jacquet?
Nope, that's all. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, excellent. So as all of this is happening, all of these different lights are shooting off from Sass. As you can see, seawater splashing against the creature as well. And you almost see the seawater itself has kind of an effect on it, like it almost like dilutes it a little bit. And then you see Fearn comes rushing in, and you see this frosty magical light goes over Sass from his hand as he summons his sword, and then shatters the oil flask all over the creatures. You can see that oil is coating it and starting to mingle with the ink itself. Excellent. Sigil is just going to book it towards the doors where our friend Bruce is. And look at me, forgot to grab a mini Sigil.
How fast is Sigil?
He's not super fast, but he's dashing. His only purpose is to get to that hallway. Because he's actually very slow.
Where's his old man, Minnie? Nice.
Back in my day.
So Sigil is going to have to make a save against the paper birds, because he does enter in and ends his turn within the range. So he gets to the doors in the back with a dash. And he does not make his save. He gets covered in birds.
Oh no.
Okay. Sass, you are up. On the top of your turn, you are going to take some damage from the birds. You're going to take some paper cut damage.
Fucking burbs.
Where is my D4? There it is. You take 2 points of piercing damage.
Okay.
As the birds are just kind of like wrapping around you so aggressively that you're starting to feel them cut at you.
Get the fuck off. Paper cuts are the worst.
All right, what would you like to do?
So, to break out of the birds, is that going to cost my action?
You either can use an action to try to break out of them, or you can just wait till the end of your turn to do another check.
Okay.
If you want to use all your actions and movement. Your movement speed is just halved.
I do. Yeah. All right, so then I'll get 15 more feet up the stairs. And fall down because of the fucking paper birds. And definitely trip.
Yeah, Sass, you do the tripping up the stairs.
Yeah, trying to get away from the birds.
As you kind of stumble
absolutely.
and pull yourself up as the birds are pulling on your legs. And you
the
kind of
fuck
look back, and you're having some trouble seeing because the birds are flapping into your face. So any attacks are at disadvantage.
Disadvantage. Yep. That's all right. I still want to use them.
Cool.
So that was my movement. All right. For my bonus action, I'm going to use my attack with the tentacle. So I kind of
yes, and you can move it and attack at the same time, right? We discerned that. Cool. Perfect.
Yes.
'Cause it does need to move up a little.
Okay. Yeah. So I can move it up to 30 feet, and I can repeat the attack. Yep. So move it up. So and then just like I'm kind of like the way I want to flavor this is like any way that I move my arms is the way the tentacle moves.
Nice.
So as while I'm, tripping up the stairs and getting up, I'm just going to kind of like do this and hopefully it'll hit it again.
Go for it.
But let's see. All right. With disadvantage, that is going to be a 15.
Hits.
Excellent. So that's 1d8 cold damage. Or five points of cold damage.
Okay.
Yep, still minus 10 because I attacked it again and hit. And then with my action, I would like to. Yeah, I should be. Does the tentacle count as casting a spell? Because I was gonna use Mind Sliver.
It's not a spell.
Okay.
It's not a spell.
All right, cool. So then I'm going to use my action to cast Mind Sliver on it, and hopefully it's not very intelligent.
Another piece falls off of it and manifest.
I thought that was just the Eldritch Blast. I'm not doing it on purpose.
You said intelligence?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Intelligence saving throw 15.
Fails. Got a 2.
Excellent. Takes 2d6 psychic damage and subtract 1d4 from the next saving throw it makes before the end of my next turn.
Oh, 1d4. Okay.
Yep.
Just
So
remind me
that's-
if that.
Yep.
If I forget.
7 points of psychic damage.
Okay.
Give us another one, Sean.
You actually find that it takes extra damage from. You feel like this, like this is delved into some core, like heart of this elemental, and has dealt extra damage.
Excellent. Okay. Attack its mind! I shout to the rest of them.
Oh,
Okay. Fear, and how long does the Ray of Frost movement debuff last?
1 round, and so until
Until
my
your
turn.
turn. Okay, so
Yep.
it still has that. Okay. All right, so it is going to go for an attack on Fearn.
Oh, Sean, can I roll the breakout of
Oh,
the
yes,
birds?
yes. Dexterity or strength.
Dex. Damn it!
DC 13.
Nope. The 9.
Birds are still on you.
Fucking birds.
Okay, so it is actually not going to do its attacks. It is going to use an ink spray, which
no.
Is due to the height that you've got gained, Sass. It is not going to hit you, but it will hit Fearn. So Fearn, give me a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. I'm trying to think if I have advantage for any reason. I probably don't. I got a 21. You think that'll do it?
That will do it. So you're only going to take half damage, and you are not blinded by the ink.
Nice.
All right, so it was 5 damage, so you're only going to take 2 acid damage, as you get covered in ink, but you're able to withstand it and wipe it off and keep it from getting in your eyes to prevent you from being blinded.
When I get hit by that, would it? He's in melee attack range, so I'm assuming that. When I have these hit points, it takes. Yeah, I don't know if it would get. It probably wouldn't get hit by Armor of Agathis.
No, because that's only when it hits you with an attack, not a saving throw.
Right. So you could kind of see. I like hold my sword up to cover my face. And as the ink like sprays on like the parts of my body, it just like turns into icicles and just shatters on the ground, like into like little black shards.
Very cool.
Because it's burning through my shields.
Very cool. Okay. The Inklings are going to come after you, Fearn. And they're just going to go for attacks on you. Simple. Attacks.
Inkling, Sean, Splatoon, Squid Kids attacking me.
They're just going to go for a blot attack on you. First one is a nat 20. The second one is a 19. The nat 20's total is a 25.
Reaction on that nat 20 for silvery barbs.
Cool.
And Fearn is going next, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, he's gonna have advantage.
Sass, did you have a question?
I did. I know one of the ink blots was from my Eldritch Blast. Was the other one from the tentacle? Or were they both from the tentacle?
The first one was from your Eldritch Blast. The second one was from your tentacle.
Okay.
Okay. The reroll was a 10, so I don't think that's gonna hit. Does the 19 hit?
The 19 does hit, and I will not cast a spell. I'll just take the damage.
Cool. And but I do believe this will have the Armor of Agathis effect.
Right.
So how much damage does it deal to the blot?
5 cold damage. Oh, wait, no, 10 cold damage.
What does it look like when this this blot gets obliterated by your your armor of Agathis. These blots are like minions, basically. If you hit them with something, they're gonna die.
I imagine it
Sorry.
like Sorry.
Sorry, I'm going all out of order. That was 5 acid damage to you, and then you can kill the blot.
Okay, so the 5, it kind of just like converges, like convulses on the ground, and like shoots towards me like a ball of goop.
Mhm.
And when I hold my offhand up to like block it or like parry it away, it kind of just like wraps around my arm in a weird way, and like I could see it freezing from the inside as it's like burning my skin, and like eventually it just like the rest of it like slurps off, and there's like a coating of black around my arm now.
Nice. Yes, exactly that happens as that slops down to the ground dead, shattering in certain places where it is frozen. And Fearn, you're up.
Fearn is just gonna swing at the smaller one to try and clear out some of these pesky tiny boys. Does a 14 hit, Sean?
A 14 does hit.
All right. And that's 10 slashing damage to this tiny boy.
Excellent. 10 slashing. Okay. Fearn, you are going to take some damage from slashing into it as volatile ink falls off of it and hits you for 6 acid damage.
Okay. That burns through my armor of Agathis, so you would all see, like, now it's just like a big splash of ink just got all over him, and it kind of just like shatters, like you could visibly see the armor shatter off of him. Wait, why is there another one?
As you do that, as you bring that blade up, and you feel that ink splash against you and shatter your armor of Agathis, you see slopping out of the belly of this thing is another smaller one.
Sid, don't take chunks out of it.
Does it take damage from your armor of Agathis?
It only if it attacks me with.
Oh, sorry, you're right, because it was the explosion. Yeah, cool.
So it was the explosion of that thing dying, or
yeah, it wasn't.
Not dying?
No, it was from you hitting the elemental. It's not it hitting you.
I mean, it is physical contact, though, right?
What does armor of Agathis say in the description?
I believe it just says like melee damage, but let me check.
Bruce, you're on deck.
Magical protective force surrounds you. Spectral frost on my gear. If a creature hits you with a melee attack when you have these hit points, the creature takes 5 cold damage, 10 cold damage if I'm level 5.
Yeah, so no, it's not going to take the cold damage.
Okay.
All right. Anything else about Fearn?
I believe that is it for me.
Okay. Bruce, you're up. Jacquet, you're on deck.
Bruce is going to. So is it Sigil very evidently trying to get into where Bruce is?
He seems like he's investigating because you're in the room. Are you peeking out from the room?
No, Bruce is
Yeah.
still.
Oh, but you have your
over by-
goggles on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he seems like he's just heading into this hallway. He doesn't know. He doesn't seem to know what's going on yet. So he might be going for yours. He might be going for Septimus's. He's going for one of these rooms first.
Okay. Yeah, Bruce is gonna continue trying to find a gem.
Yeah, absolutely. Go give me another
Yeah.
investigation check.
Is this counted as my action?
Yes.
Ooh, 23.
23. Okay, Bruce, you're like flinging books behind you at this point, and like just digging through some of the unorganized piles here. Just kind of like looking on the back, looking at the spine, throwing it if it has nothing, looking around, and like using your goggles to try to find anything that has any lumps on it that could be gems. And you do find one with a 23 at the bottom of this pile you've been digging through. You find a book that has a fat emerald on the front page.
Can I use a bonus action to try to pry it out?
Yeah, I'll allow you to do that. Give me a quick strength check or athletics check.
Oh my gosh.
If you have anything that you can use for leverage, that'll help you here. You have a crowbar?
Oh, I got a crowbar. I got a crowbar.
All right, the crowbar is going to give you advantage. And lower the DC.
Woo! I got a natural 20.
Hell yeah, Bruce! So, Bruce, what does it look like as you're trying to dig this emerald out with a crowbar?
So Bruce, throwing books, he's like, hey, fucking are. And then he throws it on the ground. He reaches into his bag of holding to pull out his backpack, and then he reaches into the backpack to pull out a crowbar. He wedges it in there, and then puts another book over underneath where he wedged it, and then he just jumps on the other side.
Ping! And the emerald pops up in the air, twirls around, and Bruce, if you like...
he takes off his glasses and then it hits him in the face.
Okay, excellent. I was gonna say, Bruce, I'd let you try to catch it, but I'd rather follow your narration there. As you get bang right in the nose, right in the snoot, you get hit with an emerald.
It's okay though; it lands on his. I don't know.
Exactly, it lands in his lap.
Yeah.
So you now have a emerald from the book.
I believe that is most of my turn, but with if you'll allow me with my movement, just to start walking towards or getting close to where the
action is.
The action is, yeah. So
yeah, I'll allow you to be out in the
there.
hall. Yeah, you'll be out in the hall and towards the end. You'll actually, when you come out, you'll see Sigil there at the opening of the hallway. And he'll look and just go, "What's happening? Are you okay? Are you okay? Did anything happen in the chamber?"
I'm fine.
Did you have any subjective thoughts? Did you doubt yourself?
No, I drank the... God damn it. I drank the potion.
Must be Septimus. And he kind of rushes over to the door where Septimus is. But yes, Bruce, you are in the hall and at the opening of the doorway into the room where you can see the elemental looming over there. And you can see it's kind of like, it looks much less fearsome when you saw it before. It's frozen to the ground by Sass at this point, not as much from Fearn anymore. And it is like parts of it have bulged off, and it didn't replace those parts. It's smaller after having dropped those pieces onto the ground. As you can see, there are two blots attacking Fearn and the big one in the middle. And you can see Sass hanging up there off of the rafters with a bunch of paper birds covering her like a billboard. Jacquette, you are up. You are hidden just outside the room.
If I move up to within 20 feet of this creature, would that take me out of... Would I no longer be hidden?
No, you'd still be in the hallway, so I'll say you're good there.
All right, cool. So I'm going to move up to 20 feet and throw a flask of alchemist fire at this guy.
Excellent. What does that... Is that another attack roll, or is it a saving throw?
Another attack roll. Oh, wait, I have advantage. That's why I was hidden. All right, 26.
That'll definitely hit.
Okay, cool.
Okay. What's the damage for that?
So it's gonna take, I guess the improvised weapon is 6 plus the sneak attack 5, so 11 fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the and then it also takes an additional 5 fire damage because of the oil that's
Nice.
on it.
So 16 total fire damage?
Yes. And then on the start of its turn, it will take an additional 1d4 fire damage. And I would maybe ask if it can take more damage because of the oil that I primed it with.
I would allow it for 2 more turns, and then the oil will be
Okay.
burned up.
Okay.
This does deal more damage than you or you're happily that it deals more damage than you expect. As you can see, it is lit up. It is vulnerable to this fire, and all of you watching the fight can see when a plop of ink comes off to become another one, it just burns up on the ground and does not actually become an ad.
Ooh.
Now is the time to, fuck this shit up. As who's next in initiative order?
I think it's me.
All right, Sass, I assume you're within 60 feet of me.
Yeah.
You have Bardic Inspiration. So that's a
Thanks,
D6 on any ability checks, attack rolls, or saving throws you need to make.
I'm
Careful,
gonna
John,
use
you're
that.
playing with fire there.
Boo!
Okay, great turn, Jacquet. Anything else that you want to do?
Bonus action to Bardic Inspiration. I'm just gonna move back to get into cover.
Sure. Alrighty. Sigil's turn. Sigil's turn. Sigil shows up. What are you doing here?
Hello.
Sigil rushes over to the door where Septimus's room is, and you see Bruce. You see there is kind of this lever right on the side of the door that's not super obvious. It's just sort of this small chain, and he just grabs it and tugs it. You can just sort of feel this shockwave of power as there's a dispersal that happens all around, and the door unlocks, and you see steam come out of the door. And he rushes in. He doesn't, and closes the door to deal with whatever's going on in there. Sass, you're up.
Okay.
You're gonna take some damage at the top of your turn from the paper birds on you.
Damn it! These fucking birds.
If they attack, they have disadvantage. I guess they don't.
It's
though.
not an attack. It's a debuff having the birds on you. 4 piercing damage as they
Okay.
give you those paper cuts.
Ow. All right. Okay. So I've now figured out that slashing it makes little ones appear, even though now the fire is dealing with it. But my plan now, I'm going to bonus action hex it, and I'd like to give it disadvantage on Constitution.
Okay.
And then for my action, I'm going to Mind Sliver again, and it's going to have a negative D4 to the saving throw from the last time I did Mind Sliver. Ah!
Damn it.
Hang
It's an intelligence saving throw, right?
Yes.
Okay, what's your DC?
15.
It doesn't matter. This thing is so stupid. It's got a 6.
Okay. So that's going to be D6. 3 points of... Oh, wait, sorry, that's 2D6. So 6 points of psychic damage.
Mhm.
And then again, it'll have another D4 subtracted from it from another saving throw if it makes one. Oh, and my hex damage. Warlock Hunter's Mark.
Wow. You're doing great.
Thanks. Is this a D? Yeah, it's D6. Okay. Another D6. 2 points of necrotic damage.
All right.
And then I'd like to roll to escape these fucking birds. Please.
Go for it. DC 13.
Hold on, I have Bardic Inspiration that I'm using. Thank you, Jacquet. Fuck! I just made it.
All right. You see you kind of twist and turn and rip the birds off of you, throwing them to the ground.
Oh, should I have Is there anything I should have rolled a disadvantage there?
You didn't do any attack rolls, did you?
No.
No, then you're
No,
good.
because they're all saving throws. Okay.
Yeah, then you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, because you bonus action hexed, and your tentacle would have been independent anyway.
Yep.
All right, excellent. This creature is looking rough, but it's its turn. All right, it is going to just go for some pseudopod attacks around it because it is flailing and scared and just trying to get. All right, so that is going to be on Fearn.
Give me your best shot.
All right, first one is a 14, and the second one is a nat 20.
14 is a miss.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna silvery barbs that.
Silvery
nat
barbs
20.
it, yeah. I had a feeling.
That is a great spell.
Silvery barbs is a great spell. It's not a nat 20, but it is a 23, Fearn. You rolled an 18.
Yeah, I guess I could probably just cast Wait, you said 25?
23.
23. Okay, so even with shield, I'm not gonna make it. So instead, I'll use a reaction to cast Absorb Elements, so I have resistance to the attack.
There you go. Acid is in Absorb Elements, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Excellent. At least it wasn't a nat 20. That's like, even if you get a hit still, that spell is so worth it to negate nat 20s. What is it? Okay. All right, so there's one aspect you won't have resistance, which is the bludgeoning part. So that's 10 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
And then for the acid, which you'll have resistance, is 3, so you'll take 1 point of acid damage.
Okay, and my sword now glows with an acidy light.
Excellent. The creature Jaquette, the fire damage at the start of its turn.
Oh yeah, so that's so how do you want to do that? It's usually a D4 from the alchemist fire, which is a 2, and then the wordage for oil is that it's just an extra 5 fire
Just
damage.
an extra 5, yeah, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so that works. So that's 7 fire damage total, up to 14. Ooh, this thing is rough. Oof. Okay. So you see as it's kind of doing these attacks on Fearn, you can see the fire spreading onto its pseudopods as it goes to swipe at Fearn, and it is slowly losing its own mass. It's struggling to keep itself together. It's actually shrinking the more the fire is burning, as if it's burning away the ink within it. Then the ink blots are going to go for an attacks on Fearn as well. Actually, one of them is going to start crawling up the stairs towards you, Sass. You do get an attack of opportunity if you want. Oh, wait, you used Absorb Elements, so you...
I don't, yeah.
Sass, it's like crawling, like pulling itself, leaving this trail of ink as it gets up to you and goes for a swipe on you.
No.
Goes for a blot attack.
Blot.
It does a 16 hit.
It does, but I'm going to use Hellish Rebuke as my reaction.
Nice. So it still gets its attack, though. So.
Yeah. So, let's see how much damage it does first.
It deals 6 acid damage.
Okay. All right. Hellish Rebuke. I point my finger, and the creature that damaged me is momentarily surrounded by hellish flames. Dex saving throw, please.
Ooh.
7.
That's a fail. So it's going to take 2d10 fire damage, which is 12 points of fire. No, sorry. Wait a minute.
What does it look like as this hellish fire burns away this creature? And I'll say this is a warlock spell, right? So like, it's like
I want it
witchy
to be
fire.
like witchy fire, exactly. So I just see it, and I'm like backing up against the stair, like no, and just nope. And point my finger at it, and the witchy fire erupts all around it. It's green, like my seaweed eldritch blast, and it kind of like wraps around it, kind of like seaweed, and just kind of like tightens and pulls it all apart.
Yeah, and you hear it screech, this sort of high-pitched screech coming from it, as it's just sort of like trying to lift itself up, but just into an innocuous puddle of ink. That just has these little green flames coming off of it. All right. Fearin, you are up.
So the big one and the one next to it are still up, right?
Correct.
All right. I am going to cast Green Flame Blade,
Nice.
and I'm going to swing with my now empowered weapon. I guess I'll swing at the big one.
Sure. Go for it.
Okay, here we go. Does a 12
Remember,
hit?
you have advantage from
Never
silver
mind.
barbs.
Does a 23 hit?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so first off, I deal 12 regular slashing damage. And then I get to add a d6 of acid due to absorb elements.
I got good news and bad news for you. Bad news, it's immune to acid damage. Good news, how do you want to do this?
So I imagine that I'm planning on slashing into its little friend on the side there. So I do a diagonal sweep with the blade, and it kind of just catches, like, my green flames catch on to like where the flames are already on the creature, and since it's like a writhing mass, it kind of just like sets a chain reaction where the green flames are like merging with the flames that are already on it, and just like turns into this torrent of flame that just like slowly like the flame just keeps getting higher, and like the goop ink is just like dissipating into the ground, and you can see steam coming off of it as it slowly collapses. And then I follow my swing through to the little one and deal 10 fire damage to him just to finish the deal.
Absolutely. And the little one squeals and is dissipated. The big one, you watch as the green flames mingle with the red flames of the oil flask, burning and burning. Yeah.
Alchemist fire is green also.
The extra green flames that are so green.
Mine's like a lime green. You're probably more like an olive.
The very neon green with the lime green. You can see it actually. I imagine there's almost like this like more natural green fire that is whipping around it, mingled with this really neon bright green fire of the alchemist fire, creating this bulbous like fireball coming in and out. As you can see, if this creature was not on fire, it would likely have exploded here with ink. But as it tries to kind of convulse and grow to this explosive attack to do its last dying breath, the flames just rip through its body, decomposing or burning through the ink, leaving nothing behind but this sludgy mess on the ground of particulate and whatever water is left from this elemental. Just a puddle on the ground now.
Fearn just like shakes his sword and then like puts it on his shoulder, and he's like, "Another job well done. Can someone give me a towel? I'm like covered in this stuff."
Jacques walks out from behind the wherever he was hiding, bookshelves or whatever, and just like walks up to like one of the little like smoldering flames. And he just kind of stomps on it and grinds it out, and he's like, that wasn't as destructive as I feared it might have been. Good job, Fearn. Good job, all.
Trips down the stairs and just like tumbles down the stairs, and standing up, just like covered in tiny little paper cuts, because I am down to 6 health at this point. And I want to go like wobble over to my tentacle that is slowly fading out of existence, and just kind of like give it a high five.
And it responds and then into the ground, disappearing.
The fuck was that about?
It's me.
Bruce like comes out panting, like, all right, you got him. All right.
You got any
What
more of
did you
those
cause
health
this?
potions?
I don't. No, I don't think so. At least. Sindel said something about Septimus, though.
Sigil?
Sigil.
Sigil.
Jesus fucking Christ. Do you have any more of those health potions?
I
It's
don't-
okay if you want to save it. I'll just need to rest
Yeah.
for a little bit.
I can. I might. Be
I
able to
should
help
hope
you.
we don't encounter any more creatures within the safety, or lack thereof, of this library.
We did
I'm not
fucking
even
expect
warmed
it
up
always.
yet.
Yeah. You guys lay down a bit. I gotta go clean up the mess I made.
You can see at this point the attendants come rushing back in and they kind of like awkwardly slow down as they enter the room and see the elemental mess everywhere and the broken down. And like as it died, you can see like the particulate within it is like the partially dissolved and slightly scorched remains of the automaton.
When one of the attendants comes in, I say, "Find us that stick in the mud, Garnet. He'll probably want to know what's happening."
Gamut.
Gamut?
Gamut.
I'd rather we find Sigil and figure out what's
Sigil.
going on here.
Oh my
Wriggle.
god.
You see one of the attendants, who's this sort of young, like half-elf boy who's probably 18, baby-faced, really bright, vibrant green eyes and this blonde hair with streaks of platinum in it, kind of immediately goes running past you all to where they last saw Sigil go. The other one stays with you all and kind of just sort of nervously, sheepishly goes up. This one looks a little older. He's probably like 25, receding hairline, blue eyes, slightly darker skin, just sort of like nervously looking to each of you and kind of like peeps up. "Can I get any of you some water?"
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Good. And he walks off, glad to have a job.
And a towel.
Towel too!
Poking around in the remains of the elemental, do we find anything within?
Give me an investigation check.
I'll do the same.
16.
11.
16. Okay. The two of you kind of are messing around in it, sifting through kind of the broken pieces of wood and tangled strings and brass parts of the automaton. And you would find at the very, very, very core of it a hunk of black substance that is kind of in a rough gem shape. It's not glittering at all. It is just sort of like this hardened hunk of ink, you could say, with a little bit of slickness around it, as there is some water still on it.
Mage hand to pick it up and kind of bring it in closer as he goes over to Fjern and kind of gestures to Bruce and Sass and goes, "Well, I guess this is something similar to those hearts left behind by the raccoons, don't you think?"
Yeah.
Right, but what ticked off the elements to, cause such chaos?
Jacquet looks to Bruce, being like, "Well, you were here. What happened?"
I'm not sure. I was kind of just reading, and then once I was finished, I did what was told for me to do, and Sigil said it might have been Septimus, so probably we should go check on him.
Did you see where Sigil went? Is he over there with Septimus?
Yeah, he's down the hallway and to the left over there.
We walk over.
Yep, you can walk over and you can open the door, and inside you see Sigil has Septimus on the table with the books pushed to the side. You can see he's just he's laying on the table, unconscious. And Sigil is kind of just like, you can see has like a part of his university robes. He's sort of ripped a piece off and soaked it with elemental water and is compressing it against Septimus's forehead. As you can see, this whole room is kind of a bit of a mess, like more of a mess than the library is in its normal state. And it seems as though maybe some of those inklings were in here as well. As you can see, some piles of ink on the floor that Septimus may have had to fight himself.
What happened? Is he all right?
Oh, was this? Did he have
Oh, so Septimus. Good thing I didn't actually make a bet with anyone.
self-doubt?
Sigil, who's kind of was just like staring down at Septimus with his hand over his forehead, turns to look to you all and says, I believe I should have some words with your friend before you leave again.
All right.
You're welcome. So you're gonna be all right.
Well, I don't know if. I mean, we cleaned up some of the mess that we made. We should probably clean up the rest.
I thank you for springing to action.
Sigil, can we get him somewhere? Do you have like a medical ward or?
Yes, I could only pull him up onto the table. I'm not strong. So,
We got muscles over here.
again,
I pick him up.
Great display of your bravery out there. And it's as you pick him up that you now all notice the mechanical arm is exposed.
I pick him up like I'm holding him like, horizontally in front of me, and my tail reaches from behind and like tucks the mechanical arm like against his back, so it's kind of just like wrapped up in his clothes.
Easy enough to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and I might have made a mess in my chamber, looking for something. I'll clean up this area and when I can.
At the mention of making a mess, Jacques kind of turns or like leans back to Sass and goes, "Do you think he relieved himself on accident? In his fear? You know how he is."
I can see where you're going with that, but no, I think he's a little more resourceful than that.
Fionn is just staring daggers at Sigil at this point.
Sigil.
Sorry.
Gee.
Like a
and
shitty seagull.
and I kind of like have like an awkward pause for a minute once I've lifted him up and tucked away the arm, and I say, "Do we have a problem here?"
Sigil would look up to you and with very like almost doe-like eyes in that moment, like not like just like very innocent. And he just looks at you and goes, "There's no problem at all."
Right, we fixed the problem. So, while you figure this out, maybe you want to figure out the price for doing that. And maybe if you want to purchase, and Jacques with the mage hand kind of holds up the ink cart as it was.
I'm a bit more concerned for your friend's safety at this time.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll be fine, right?
Come, Fionn. It's this way to medical ward.
Fearn stops him and says, "Is the medical ward really where we should be going? I mean, have you ever seen anything like this?" And I like lower his arm a few inches so it's like back into like his mechanical arm into view.
Perhaps you're right. Bring him back to my office. I'll find a trusted attendant from the ward.
I'll take my reward as your discretion. Thank you. And you see the sternness like kind of just disappear from Fearn's eyes.
Still kind of looking around, Jacquet's like, he'll be fine, right? Come on, right?
And yeah, with that, Fearn just follows Sigil to his
Office.
Yep.
Three of you stand in the hall here. Low flicker of the candles and the lanterns floating above. Looking down at the mess of ink all around. As Fearn carries your friend away to be tended to.
As much as I want to be by Septimus' side, I think we should clean up here a little bit. The library is an area to be respected. So
I agree.
Yeah, I think we cleaned up with the monster. Let the attendants do it. I'm sure they get paid to do it anyways.
All right. Just feel a little awkward, you know. Used to cleaning up after myself sometimes. Let's just make sure somebody can. And then...
Okay. So, as I'm assuming Jacquet kind of waves the cleaning off and follows suit to the office, two of you can, if you wish, help the attendants with cleanup. And at some point gather all to check on Septimus.
Yeah.
And that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I have some talking to do with Mike this week.
Yeah.
So, thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. We will be rating someone in the community now. And let me see who is on at this point. Let's send a raid over to Queen's Court Games, who are playing a little Delta Green. So go ahead and send them our love from Paradice. And join us on Wednesday for Relaxing in Paradise, where we'll be painting Fearn and Sass and doing detail work on Bruce. And then probably playing some video games as well. Maybe Valheim, maybe Sons of the Forest. We'll see what happens. And then join us on Sunday for the Sean Enchanted Power Hour to recap this week's session. And then again, back on Monday, where we will return to see how Septimus recovers and get the party a little bit of R&R before heading out on another job. And maybe a walk of shame before you head out the city. But we'll see. So that's all for us tonight, folks. Have a lovely time. Thank you for joining us in Paradice. I used the wrong user. There's the right one. All right. Say goodbye, everybody. We'll see you all next week.
Bye, everybody.
everybody.
Ciao.
See you next week.